What happens next?
We're back. And speaking of back, right now it's Kirby right back at ya in 2000. Believe it or not, but Kirby appeared in an anime from 2001 to 2003. It followed the adventures of Kirby and his new friends on the planet Popstar against the evil King DDD, who appears sometimes in a slightly intimidating CGI form.
It was handled closely by series creator Masahiro Sakurai, who told the studio not to make Kirby speak dialogue, otherwise he would cut off their toes. The series was brought over to American markets, with the translation and dubbing being handled by 4Kids Productions,
Oh no.
who were notorious for their mishandling of specific animes such as Sonic X and F-Zero GP Legend. With this anime at the very least, they didn't dub Kirby's voice, but then again, he hardly says a damn thing.
Super Smash Bros. Melee from 2001. Kirby appeared as a playable fighter in the second installment in Smash Bros. Series. Everyone loved it, so let's move on.
Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland 2002. Kirby's Adventure was remade for the Game Boy Advance, featuring updated graphics and sound. It also featured Meta Knight as a playable character, who must complete the game as fast as possible without saving. A worthy challenge for those into the nose.
Kirby Tilt and Tumble 2. Cancelled. I can say it.
A sequel to Kirby Tilt and Tumble was planned for the GBA and GameCube. It would have made use of the Nintendo Link cable, using the GBA as a controller to tilt Kirby around various levels in 3D on the television. Sadly, it never came to be.
That's a shame. Kirby Air Ride 2003. Kirby's first racing game. This involved players racing around on stars to be the best person in the whole world. It utilized a simple control scheme involving the control stick to steer and an A button for all the other actions, in order to make it accessible to all players. Just so you know that.
It was released at a difficult time amongst Mario Kart Double Dash and F-Zero GX, resulting in many players ignoring it, sort of how people treat me on a day-to-day basis. Initially, it started life on the Nintendo 64, but like many titles such as Dinosaur Planet and Eternal Darkness, it got moved to the Cube.
It's also considered one of the rarest GameCube games to find.
Even we don't own it. This gameplay's from YouTube.
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror 2004. An original title for the Game Boy Advance, this changed up the traditional Kirby gameplay and went for a Metroidvania style. Featuring an overarching maze like World to Explore, it is often compared to Zelda 4 Swords, as it involves Kirby working with 3 colored versions of himself to solve puzzles. It received positive reviews, with many reviewers noting it to be very extensive for a Kirby title.
Kirby Canvas Curse 2005. A platformer with a twist, Canvas Curse saw the DS touchscreen fully utilized as you drew paths for Kirby to help him through various levels. It was a dose of innovation.
It was a dose of innovation that many people greatly appreciated, including 1UP, who called it the DS's first great game,
citing that all the previous games released for the DS were cow manure.
Kirby Squeak Squad 2006. After all that innovation, however, Kirby returned to tradition with his next outing on Nintendo DS.
This was a conventional Kirby game, which saw the fluff-ball gobbling up enemies and collecting their powers, just like the Rancor from Star Wars. It received mixed reviews for its lack of originality, but it did sell 1 million copies in Japan alone. So, ha!
Super Smash Bros. Brawl 2008. Kirby appeared as a playable fighter in the 3rd installment in the Smash Bros. Series. Everyone loved it, so let's move on.
Kirby Superstar Ultra 2008. Another remake? Yep. This time of Kirby Superstar, released on the Nintendo DS. It was more or less the same as the SNES original, bar some new 3D FMV cutscenes, and new games including Revenge of the King, which was a harder version of Spring Breeze, and Meta Nightmare Ultra, which saw you play as Meta Knight through various levels.
I have yet to unlock that. Kirby's Epic Yarn 2010. Kirby's first standalone console adventure in 10 years. Epic Yarn saw Kirby become a piece of yarn and embarked on an adventure to save Patchland.
The game allowed 2-player co-op, the second player taking the role of the incredible Prince Fluff, a character so cool he makes George Clooney like a glass of sour milk. In fact, Prince Fluff is such a cool character that the game was originally conceived with him as the main lead, But because that would have made the game too cool and caused the Wii to crash, they made him play second fiddle to Kirby instead.
Regardless, the game was still a hoot, with its fun gameplay and beautiful visuals being its major highlights. It went on to sell over 1 million copies worldwide, and received a spiritual successor in the form of Yoshi's Woolly World, which also featured a red Yoshi.
Kirby Mass Attack to 2011. Another burst of originality in the Kirby series, this one let the player control 10 Kirbys, using the stylus to help them on their quest. It came out towards the end of the DS's life and was heralded as one of the best games to come out for the system.
It was a good, fun game. Kirby's Return to Dreamland, 2011. Kirby returned to his traditional roots with this side-scrolling adventure for Nintendo Wii. However, the game did feature 4-player co-op play, which allowed players to play King Dedede, Meta Knight, and the King of the Pride Lands, Waddle Dee.
The game had a strenuous development period, initially starting life on the Nintendo 64 before being transferred to the GameCube and shown off at E3 2005. Eventually the game went quiet until it resurfaced at E3 2011, eventually being released later that year. That resulted in 11 years of development hell. That's like half my childhood gone.
Like some previous entries, it was praised for its graphics, gameplay, and sound, but criticized for being too easy and lacking a motivation. Sorry, innovation.
However, Destructoid gave it a perfect 10 out of 10.
A better score than Uncharted 3!
Kirby's Dream Collection 2012.
To celebrate Kirby's 20th birthday, and may I add, he's aged incredibly well for a character that doesn't exist, Nintendo re-released the 6 Kirby games on one Wii disc, as well as some extra content, including 3 episodes of the anime.
That's it. 3. 1, 2, 3. No substitutions, exchanges, or refund.
Reception of the collection was positive, with many feeling overwhelmed with the amount of content within. Kirby Triple Deluxe 2014. Another traditional entry in the Kirby series, this one was released for the 3DS and made use of the system's 3D capabilities by having Kirby jump between the foreground and background. Kirby also had the ability to enter Hypernova, where he sucks in everything in his path like that supernova scene from Treasure Planet.
The game also featured 2 minigames, one of which was called Kirby Fighters, and which played like Smash Bros. And the other game was called Dedede's Drum Dash, which was a rhythm game involving Dedede hitting drums. The game received mostly positive reviews and sold over 1 million copies. Right on!
Kirby Fighters Deluxe and Dedede's Drum Dash Deluxe 2015. The 2 minigames featured in Triple Deluxe was released as standalone titles later in the year on the Nintendo eShop.
Are you serious? Why?
Yes, well...
When you get them in the game, why would you buy them again?
They're expansion versions. I just said, no, they featured new stages and features.
Oh, I must have missed that part. Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS 2014. Kirby appeared as a playable fighter in the 4th installment in the Smash Bros. Series for both the 3DS and Wii U. Everyone loved it, so let's move on.
Kirby and the Rainbow Curse 2015. A sequel to Canvas Curse, this time on the big screen and in glorious HD. Players use the touchscreen on the Wii U gamepad to draw rainbow paths to help Kirby travel through the various levels. It also featured co-op play, where 3 other players can play as Waddly Dees, and a unique claymation graphical style which hadn't been seen since Clay Fighter 63 and a third. What a load of rubbish.
The game was released to mixed reviews, with praise going towards its clay aesthetic and fun gameplay, but people found spending the majority of time looking at the gamepad screen frustrating, as they couldn't appreciate the visuals in HD on this swanky TV, and some of them got neck cramps.
All in all, Kirby has had a pretty comfortable 23 years of gaming history, with a healthy mix of innovation and good old school tradition.
Honestly, here's to another 20 years of more of the same.
Speaking of more of the same, how about Ratchet & Clank, huh? Those last few entries were pretty stale, am I right? Am I right?
Shut up, Dexter.
Alright.